you and I had worked together so many years and had so many similar views on kind of what was good and bad about comics retail and what was worth celebrating about comics as a medium, that we were able to move very quickly on what is the store, what is it about, where is it going to be, how are we going to run it, what are the nuts and bolts of the day-to-day of who's going to be where, when, who's responsible for what, and all of that came together very easily, I thought.
Visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics. Keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
So, Dal, I had big plans for this episode.
Uh-huh.
However, the comics industry gets in the way.
I've been saying that for years.
Right?
Exactly those words.
So there are actual comic industry things we need to discuss,
Okay.
but later.
Okay.
There is something that we've been neglecting to do the last couple episodes of the podcast. So before we do anything else, we need to talk about this year's Free Comic Book Day.
Okay, let's do that.
Free Comic Book Day 2018.
Uh-huh.
This will be Challenger's 11th Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, first one was in 2008.
Yes. And as you know, we always try to have creators there that have a Free Comic Day book.
Mm-hmm.
So before we go any further, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Can you... Yes?
The answer is no, but I'll let you finish your question.
Can you name the 10 years worth of Free Comic Book Day creators we've had?
No.
I'm not going to... It doesn't have to be in order.
It can't be in order.
Come on. You can... 2008, you can do.
Artie and Franco.
Right. 2009.
Eric Larson.
Yeah. Now, listener, I posed the same question to myself.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you saw me quickly erasing it off the whiteboard, because I did it on the board earlier this week.
Okay.
And I erased it, and I missed
I wish I'd seen
one.
it.
I missed 1 year's worth of creators.
Okay.
The other ones I didn't get necessarily in the right order,
Okay.
but I just... Can you name...
We'll do them in year order for the listener, for their benefit. So if I can't get one, you'll have to give one to me.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want it to... Oh, all right, just...
There's very few of these I'm going to get, so I'm going to make it easy.
Okay.
2010.
Yeah. We asked 2 creators. We wound up getting 3. One was local, one we brought in. And the third one was local and wound up coming in because of the second one.
Mike Norton.
Yeah.
Katie Cook.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Emmons.
Yes, sir. 3 for 3.
Okay. I needed all those clues, though.
Okay. But now, getting Mike Norton,
Uh-huh.
you got at least an answer for the next 2 years after that.
Sure.
So we're in 2011.
Okay. Give me some hints on 2011. Mike Norton.
Right.
Okay.
One other local person. Suburban person.
Suburban person.
We had dinner with him a few months ago. Just him. Because no one else showed up. On a Tuesday night. When we go out to the suburbs on Tuesday...
Oh, Christopher Mitten?
Yeah.
Okay, Christopher Mitten.
Mike Norton and Chris Mitten were...
Oh, that's right. They did the Battle Pug Wasteland print. That's right.
Okay, so you have 2/3 of 2012. So 2012.
2012. Mike Norton.
Uh-huh.
Christopher Mitten.
Yeah.
Tim Seeley.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. 2013, we flew somebody in who had a very difficult trip, a lot of difficulty getting to us with delayed and canceled flights and a lot of time in the airport. And then we had a far western suburb creator come in who had done one previous event at the store that you were not there for. It was a Saturday. It was themed around a pastry.
Sure. Was this, I already was going to say, was this Chris Eliopoulos and Jamal Eichel?
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
I didn't think it was that far back. 2013.
2013. Well, that's halfway.
Yeah, all right, we're getting there.
2014 is the year I whiffed on. 2 creators, one we brought in, one was local.
Oof, 2014. Who would that have been?
Not only did I not get the creator we flew in, I completely forgot this local creator ever did a Free Comic Day with us.
Gene Ha?
No.
No, that's later.
This local creator has done, I think, 3 events with us.
Uh-huh.
The last one being Local Comic Shop Day 2016
God, I don't know.
for Moonshine.
Oh, Azzarello and Rizzo?
No, we didn't have Rizzo.
Okay. It was Azzarello and who? Jill?
No. What month is this?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, Keen Sue.
Keen Sue.
Keen Sue.
Keen Sue and Brian Azzarello.
Keen Sue and his wife, who, by the way, were lovely people.
Oh, yeah. And
Tremendous time with
she
them.
did or is doing a science comics.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I remember we went out to the
Squared Circle?
Squared Circle, the
Yeah.
long missed, greatly missed Squared Circle, and had a decent time with them, which
Yeah.
we don't always have a decent time after Free Comic
Sure,
Day because we
sure.
are dying inside.
We also went to the Squared Circle the year before because Lisa Marie showed up that year.
Oh, okay.
And Elio is a huge wrestling fan.
Sure.
And so Jamal's a wrestling fan as well.
Yeah, Squared Circle after Free Comic Book Day was one we tried for a few years, and some years went better than others. Sometimes the Saturday just happened to be crazy busy for them, so we would just be... We could come in with like 14 people and need drinks and appetizers and meals, and they would have like one server.
You know, come to think of it, looking at this list, we went to the Squared Circle on Free Comic Book Day all 4 years we could have possibly done it.
Yeah, because it was a great place to take
Yeah.
people to. I miss the Squared Circle. I miss their menu. I miss those pizza wontons.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
miss
do.
those s'mores wontons.
Okay, 2015, you already got half of it.
Gene Ha, Tom Skilly?
Yep.
Okay.
Also Squared Circle.
Uh-huh.
All right, there's only 2 more, so you're going to get these
Okay,
easy.
2016 was Free Comic Book Challengers, the 3D Cowboys Cosmic Comic Challengers?
Cosmic Convict Challengers.
Convict Challengers.
Yeah.
Challenge. So, Luke Smarto,
Yeah.
Ryan Brown,
Yeah.
Tim Seeley,
Uh-huh.
Mike Norton.
No.
Norton was not able to make it because he was signing someplace else.
Correct.
So, who
2
was-
more.
2 more.
Not related to that book. 2 more local creators.
Andrea Bell?
Yes. Come on, you got it. Tip your tongue. I'll take the book name instead.
Junior Braves of the
Yes,
Apocalypse.
Zach Lehner.
Zach Lehner.
Yeah.
That's what, 2016?
Yeah.
2017. What was last year?
3 creators.
Okay.
1 we brought in, and he got to the store on his own, which was great. I didn't have to go pick him up or anything.
Matt Kint
Yep.
and his family,
Yeah.
but they're under the Matt Kint umbrella.
Yes.
2
2 more local people.
2 more local people.
Yeah. Our first go-to for all of our Batman Day or events.
Alejandro.
Yeah.
Alex
Rosado. And then the last gentleman, I'm giving him sign language
Oh,
clues.
Beardo.
Dan Doherty.
Dan Doherty.
Yes.
Beardo. People love that kid's fish book of his, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That one's doing really well.
Yeah, really well.
Yeah.
Like, I've had parents come back and say, does he do anything else? Because my kid loves this fish
Well,
book.
that other book on the same shelf is his.
Okay.
So that's 10 years worth of
Yeah,
free comic book days.
If left to my own devices, I could probably get 5 in no particular order.
I missed Keen Sue and Brian Azzarello.
Sure. That makes sense. It's right in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, the early ones are easy to remember
Yep.
because they were the first ones. Like, Artie and Franco, we knew before we even opened they were going to be
Yeah.
our Free Comic Book Day guys. And Eric Larson was a huge get for us at the time because we'd barely been open a year.
Yeah.
And it's the guy who did Savage Dragon, and he's a Chicago cop, that it's back in the book again. So, like, those were real formative milestones for us. As opposed
Now we
to,
would never do a Savage Dragon signing for children.
No, definitely not.
That book has become an adult
No.
comic.
Speaking of adult comics, though, we do have some guests for Free Comic Book Day
Yeah, so
2018.
what's a little bit different this year is while we always try to have somebody that has a free comic day book, we are broadening our definition of free comic day books
Mm-hmm.
and incorporating a book that we're giving away for free to everybody.
Yeah, which
and
again,
in fact,
in 2016 we did that.
yeah,
Free comic, the free comic we did then, we produced with.
yes, but
Four
Junior
Star
Braves
Studios.
was a legit free comic day book.
It's true, yeah, and I mean, look, there is a chance that between now and Free Comic Book Day, something else could fall into our lap where we find out that a book that we've ordered a bunch of has a local creator who wants to come in. These things have happened before. There's been plenty of times in the last 10 Free Comic Book Days where within a month of the event we had to add somebody.
Sure.
So that could happen again.
So The first creator that we're going to announce is actually the second creator that we booked.
Yes.
And in an effort to have more Challengers appearances than Amber Benson, more Challengers appearances than even mighty Mike Norton.
Mm-hmm. This is someone who's actually reaching the number of appearances that it's starting to rival my appearances at the store.
His second Free Comic Day appearance, tying Tim Seeley, tying Chris Mitten, still one behind Mike Norton. Mm-hmm. It is Chicago's own
Ryan Brown.
Ryan Brown will be signing and sketching on Free Comic Book Day, and the book that we are associating with him is Curse Words #1.
Yeah, we're going to be giving away copies of the recent reprint of Curse Words #1.
So recent that it doesn't come out for a month yet.
I really hope it comes out when it's supposed to come out, because it's coming out right before Free Comic Book Day. But we'll be giving that away to appropriate audiences. Yeah, everyone's who is age appropriate for Curse Words is going to get a copy of issue 1. You can get Ryan Brown to sign on it and scribble on it. And if you've got other stuff that you want to bring that he's worked on, you're welcome to do so. He's very gracious when it comes to his fans. So if you've got copies of God Hates Astronauts or Curse Words or anything else he's worked on, bring them by.
And the other guest we have for Free Comic Book Day, this is a creator that we've tried numerous times in the past to get to Challengers. One, when this book that they work on first came out and we got an advanced PDF from Image, loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
We loved other stuff he'd worked on. And so when this was coming out, we're like, oh, we've got to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
Like, we've been a fan of his. This is a new project. Let's do something with it.
We knew this was a book that would resonate with our audiences and we could do well with. So we reached out and said, hey, can you come out? And he said, hey, thanks so much for asking. I'm already booked for that day. Maybe we can do something later. Great. So when the first trade was solicited, we're like, hey, you want to come out for the first trade? He's like, I really can't. I really want to. Maybe something for the second trade? And we're not as keen as doing stuff on second trades.
Yeah.
So when Dal had the idea to just do the same thing that we're doing with Ryan and load up on the Image dollar version of #1, I reached out again and said, hey, can you come up for Free Comic Day? And he goes, yeah, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very excited to announce this veteran, this guy that has worked for years and on so many properties and so many award-winning creator-owned books, Steve Lieber.
Superior Steve Lieber.
Superior Spider-Man... Superior Foes of Spider-Man, yep. Steve Lieber. The Fix, Steve Lieber.
Yeah, so, again, for the adults that show up, in addition to your normal Free Comic Book Day comics, we're going to be giving you a copy of The Fix #1 and a copy of Curse Words #1 to get signed and sketched on by the artists who are going to be there. 11 to 5, they might take a break here or there, so if you desperately need to get something signed by them, either A, show up right at the beginning of the day, or B, maybe be prepared to wait around if they have to go to the bathroom or grab something to eat or whatever.
But, I mean, Steve has committed to being behind the table for the full day.
Which is amazing.
And, yeah, that's more than we like, normally we bring people out for an event. We ask them to sign for 2 hours.
Sure.
Or if it's a party, 3 to 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
This dude he said, quote, I'll be there for the long haul.
Nice.
And he's willing to do really quick head sketches or sketches of pretzels.
Yeah. Why would you get something besides pretzels?
Right?
Like, if you are at this event and you're going to get a sketch from either one of these artists, if you're not getting Margaret or pretzels, I don't know why you're wasting everyone's time.
We will have branded Free Comic Book Day at Challengers sketch paper for them to use. They will not be doing detailed sketches. They'll be doing quick
marker head sketches.
Yeah.
And we're going to have lines pretty much all day, and we want to make sure everybody who wants a sketch can at least get a sketch.
They won't be doing commissions. However, I've told them that they can bring their own stuff to sell. Like if they've got pages, or Steve does some really great sketch covers that he puts up in his own web store. I told him he could bring those. Those are fine.
I know Ryan's going to have something he's going to want to promote.
Yeah. So that's how our Free Comic Book Day is shaping up. And
that's obviously in addition to thousands of free comics that we're going to have for people to choose from, not only this year, but we've got some ones from past years and other stuff we've been kind of squirreling away. So you'll find some interesting stuff on those free comic racks. We'll also have some cosplayers.
Some nice photo ops and stuff. I mean, we'll get into more detail about that as it gets closer, but we wanted to make sure to announce Ryan and Steve
Yes.
for the event because they deserve as much attention as we can
They do
throw to them.
indeed.
Oh my goodness. Both of them have meant a lot to challengers over the years.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. So now, before we move on to what I consider to be the main theme of this episode,
Thank you for not saying the meat of this episode.
you're welcome.
Too much meat tonight.
Too much meat tonight,
Oh,
indeed.
golly.
I've got a quick couple of anecdotes.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, end of the day last Friday, I want to say, a guy comes in with this query. I need to get a gift for a good friend of mine who works in a comic shop. What do you have he would not have?
How much are they looking to spend?
$30.
Okay.
Because I first pitched some Batman fake, because he's a Batman fan. So I'm like, hey, what about this Batman 66 3-pack? He's like, that's great, but it's
More than he wants
yeah.
to spend.
yeah.
Normally, my thing would be Challengers exclusive merchandise, book plates, the free comic challenge, T-shirts, local artist stuff, things that they might not have at their
So
store.
that's exactly where I went.
Yeah,
He was thinking about the book plates, but if you already have the book,
yeah,
and getting a second copy just for the book plate is kind of
yeah.
eh.
It's so weird to buy something for someone who works in a comic shop from another comic shop.
And a Challengers T-shirt. That's like if somebody gave you a One Stop T-shirt,
Right.
would you wear it?
No.
Yeah.
If anyone is buying me gifts in the future, please don't buy them at your local comic shop. I can get all that stuff. Any of that stuff I've wanted, I've already bought at much cheaper prices than you ended up paying for it. I guarantee.
So you know what? You know what worked? You know what I got him to buy?
A Jack Kirby print?
The Jack Kirby print.
Hey, it's a good one.
Because nobody else is going to have that.
No, it's
Not in
true.
Chicago, for sure.
No.
Get this. He said his friend works at a store by UIC.
Is that First Aid?
No.
Oh, I don't know then.
I don't either. I'm like,
Weird.
dude, I don't know another store by UIC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he came in like right at the end of the day, but he was super happy with the print.
Great.
I mean, I talked it up because it's a great looking print and you can't
Yeah.
get it.
I guess I should have thought like all of the Challengers prints that we still have in stock.
Yeah, so that was where he was going to go.
Yeah.
But honestly, I went Kirby because that's a little more expensive.
Sure, and it's superhero. If it's someone who's
Yeah.
more of a Batman fan, like
Yeah, we don't have a mainstream.
no, I mean I don't know if we still have any reader prints. If we
We
did,
don't.
that would be
We don't.
the one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. I mean, the closest you're going to get is like Six Gun or something, which is like an actual property, as opposed to like an original design that was done just for the event.
And my next quick anecdote is one I just found out about. Apparently, it happened a few years ago, but I found out about it on Twitter when C2E2 advertised that CM Punk was going to be at C2E2 this year. Some guy said, "I tried to meet him once at Challengers. Bad experience.
Okay.
The owner told me to leave him alone."
Sure.
So somebody tagged me and said, "Challengers, is this true?"
Yeah.
Which is how I saw it.
Definitely.
And the guy said, "Yeah, it's true. I'll never shop there again, and I buy 20 to 30 Marvel books a month."
Okay.
And I wasn't even going to ask him about wrestling. I wanted to know what his next Marvel project was.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He's shopping
And
at the store. Don't bug him.
I didn't respond, but I was going to say, "Yeah, it's true. How
Yeah.
dare we try to protect the private life of a customer?"
Yeah. There was Punk was in recently getting some stuff, and there was a guy at the counter, and you could tell from the guy's expression, he started to realize that was CM Punk, because they do this thing where they start like looking and then looking again
And then hovering?
quick looks. No, I mean he's getting his stuff rung up,
Yeah.
so he's where he's supposed to be, but he's doing that thing where like he's processed it and he wants to keep looking to verify that what he thinks he saw, but he doesn't want to look over so often he's calling attention to himself and being creepy. But by doing it so often, he's being creepy, and it's a total red flag. So the guy kind of leans in a bit and goes, "Is that CM Punk?" I'm like, and I never want to be
Oh,
like,
right. I wasn't privy to this because
Yeah,
I was
'cause you
talking
were
to
talking
Punk.
to him.
Yeah.
so, and I don't want to like lie and go like, "No, it's not," or like, "I don't know who you mean." Like, so when it happens, I lean forward and I go, "It is," but he doesn't really like to be bothered. Because he doesn't, like anybody would. He doesn't,
Sure.
He's there to shop. He's there to chat. He's there to enjoy the store like anybody else is. So having someone like take him out of that by kind of making a demand on his time, even if it's just to say, hey, I'm a big fan or whatever. It's not a good scene. So I'd rather spare everybody involved
Sure.
the discomfort of that.
Well, this guy handled it pretty well because he walked past Punk to get out, and he nodded to him and said something just like, "Hey, love your work." Mm-hmm. And Punk just nodded and said, "Thanks."
Yeah.
And like that was it. Like he didn't stop. He's like, "Can I get a picture? Can I shake
Right.
your hand?" None of that.
We try and head that off as much as we can.
Whoever it was played it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. That's like the maximum interaction.
But I wanted to make it clear to the guy, like, yes, it is who you think it is, but don't. Yeah.
I mean,
you're
had
going to make him uncomfortable, and that's going to make you self-conscious. Let's save everybody the hassle.
he's had obsessive fans enough in the store where he's had to leave out the back door.
I do remember one time where he waited on the back hallway making a phone call.
Yeah.
Just so he could, like, wait them out.
Yep.
There was another time where somebody wanted him to listen to their demo, and they found out that he shopped at the store. So, like, they brought by their demo and, like, a case of soda.
Yeah, a 12-pack of Diet Coke.
A 12-pack of Diet Pepsi, I think it was.
And then asked you to
make sure he got it. And
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not making sure he gets it. And that was the day that we added to our website the notice, we are not taking deliveries for any customers. Yeah. That's not a thing. I'm not passing something along to anybody who shops at the store. That's not my responsibility.
So you told this guy, no, we're not going to take it and leave it here for him. So he left. And what we didn't know is he just went outside and just dropped that stuff on the ground.
He left it right outside the door, like to the left of the door. So you could open the door without hitting it or anything.
So the funniest part of that was we found out it was there because CM Punk came in shortly afterwards and said, why is there a case of soda outside? We're like, what? Oh, that's for you. He's like, what? Like, somebody left that for you, but we would take it. He goes, you're right not to take it.
He told him the story. He's like,
I don't want this. But anyway, this is not just because, oh, it's CM Punk. We want everyone to have that kind of, like, you don't want to be bothered.
I don't want anyone to get bugged or hassled.
Like, when somebody comes in to sell candy, to try to sell candy to us, we say no, and they go to turn to a customer.
I don't want that.
No, you don't do that.
Don't solicit in the store. Don't do that. That's not why people came.
Punk has made it known that occasionally, when he was on the road and come back into town at like 2 a.m, if I was up, I would run over and open the store for him. I have made that offer to other people as well, not just wrestlers or musicians or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like other customers, if there's extenuating circumstance, and if I'm around, yeah, man, I'll swing by for you.
Sure.
So that's this guy who's never going to shop with us again because we did our job.
Yeah. Because he did not get to have an interaction with someone that he did not deserve to have an interaction with. That wasn't a signing. That wasn't
But Dal, he buys 20 to 30 Marvel books a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought...
Not for a second do I feel bad about that.
Yeah. He also ended his tweet with, fuck dat.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah.
Did he misspell Dal?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
And the funny part is that I don't recall this instance, but I know it could be either you or me.
Oh, for sure.
Because I've told people before, like, politely, like, hey man, leave him alone.
It doesn't happen all the time. It's not like every time Punk comes in, like, people in the store are like, oh my god. Like, not everybody knows who he is. I didn't know who he was when he came in.
Sure. He came in first with you.
Yeah, not everybody cares about wrestling or UFC. So, I mean...
And
but there is definitely an overlap of, like, comic fans and pro wrestling fans. And, you know, like, seeing someone like that in the neighborhood, you don't see it all the time. In Bucktown, you don't see it all the time. So, like, I understand sort of kind of where people are coming from, where they want to have that experience. But when it happens, and again, it's not all the time, it's occasionally, you can sort of see that look of someone who's, like, about to freak out, that you just want to insert yourself into the process and go, look, again, let's save you the embarrassment, and let's save this guy the frustration. Like, let's help everybody.
For example, I went and saw Fozzy this week at Bottom Lounge.
Sure.
Chris Jericho's band. Mm-hmm. Had a great time.
Chris the Lionheart Jericho?
Chris Lionheart Jericho, yeah. While I was there, I ran into Alexis Challenger with some of her friends, and right by them was pro wrestler Jimmy Jacobs, and one of her friends was talking to Jimmy Jacobs.
Cool.
And she's like, yeah, it's Jimmy Jacobs. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I looked over, saw Jimmy Jacobs. That's it.
Sure.
I didn't have to go over and say hi. I mean, he's there to see a show.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this maybe. Me personally, I don't care. Like, I don't have that thing in me where I need to meet people whose work I've enjoyed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've enjoyed the work. I don't need to have that interaction. That doesn't enhance my experience in any way.
I like that interaction, but just on a quick, like, hey man, thanks so much, kind of the thing you said before.
If something happens organically, like if I'm at an event or a party or something and I'm introduced to somebody, then it's fine. Then I'm okay with it. But cold going up to somebody, I don't want to do that. That just feels weird and intrusive. And even if someone is like, I'm okay with it, I'm always going to feel like, are they just saying that to let me off the hook when really they wish that hadn't happened? So to that extent, I don't understand why somebody as a fan would want to do that, would demand that, because I'm a fan of yours, I need to get this extra interaction as well. I need to get you taking a picture with me, you hearing me say how much I like the things you've done. Don't do that. Just
maybe it's because we're comic fans first, and comic fandom and comic celebrity is a lesser extent of celebrity, that they're more approachable. But a couple years ago, Jenny Frizz and I went to go see a play, and we were in the theater district, and afterwards we went to a restaurant next door, and it wound up being a restaurant that a lot of theater people frequent.
Sure.
So the table right next to us was Michael McKean, Annette O'Toole, and Kate Flannery. Meredith from The Office.
It's a really great lineup.
Right. So I look over, I'm like, oh my god, look who's there. That's all we did.
Sure.
We didn't buy them drinks. We didn't go up and say hi, because they're there out eating. Now, I will say, another time, going to the Chicago Comic-Con back in the day when it was downtown, when it was at the Ramada O'Hare, George and I would always go early and eat breakfast in the hotel lot of the restaurant.
Okay.
And comic celebrities were always there, like Tim Truman or John Ostrander, or we saw Howard Chaykin a couple years in a row. And one time, like going through the buffet, like you go through, you get your stuff, then you go to the checkout area, and Howard Chaykin was right in front of us. So
Bloody Mary for breakfast, I assume.
So he's going to pay, and my brother George said to the cashier, like, Mr. Chaykin, we paying for ours as well? And he looked over and he goes, oh man, not this year. And that was it. But that was, I think, a matter of circumstance, because we're in line together.
Yeah.
We weren't interrupting his...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it's all up and down the list of, like, meeting comic professionals whose work I've enjoyed, or, even, like, movie, TV, music. Like, Patrick, what's my favorite band of all time?
Kiss?
No, my favorite band of all time.
Oh! I already said Fozzy, right?
You did.
It's Superchunk, everybody.
Superchunk. So Mac McCon from Superchunk and Portastatic, I've met a couple times at his shows.
And Spoon. Don't forget Spoon.
No, he was in Seam.
Seam. Don't forget that one.
Played the drums in Seam. So I met him at a couple of his shows.
Sure.
He was working the merch table for a couple of Portastatic shows.
And outside the Metro.
And
hey man, just be glad you're not John.
I was not at that show. But both those experiences, they weren't bad. He's very nice. He's very approachable.
But he's working.
But at the same time, there's just a sense of, like, having this experience is not making me like the songs better.
Sure.
It's just, for me, it's just weird. Like, it's just the idea of, I'm used to listening to his songs, and having a personal interaction with him feels unreal. Like, it doesn't feel right. Like, that's not the right context for him to exist in, is meat space.
Sure.
That's not... No, only headphones.
Don't say meat.
Oh, sorry. Too soon.
You weren't there for this, but there was the year that I was talking to him the day before your birthday.
Yeah, I remember.
And I gave him your phone number, your landline back in the time.
Back in the days of landlines.
And said, hey man, if you got a second tomorrow, you can call him, wish you happy birthday. I guarantee you he won't be home. He cannot pick up. He's at work. So if you got a minute to leave a message, that'd be great. And he took it, and he politely said, if I have time and if I remember it tomorrow.
No, but he didn't.
He didn't.
And I don't blame him for a
And
second.
honestly, I don't think you would have thought that was as cool as I thought it was.
I don't know. I think it would have been pretty cool. But it's... So yeah, the idea of making this sort of...
Can I guess how the call would have went?
If I actually would have picked up?
No, the message you would have left.
Oh, the message you would have left. Okay, let's hear it.
Hey, Dal, this is Mac. I was told... Laura, stop bouncing. Laura, stop bouncing. Hey, man, John... I gotta go. And in the background you hear Jim saying, I told you not to do it.
It's pretty good.
There you go.
It's pretty good. Yeah, so if you're at Challengers...
I
and you
legit
see...
started that story with just Laura Stop Bouncing, and everything else had a...
And then you just yes-anded the rest of it.
That's right.
So yeah, if you're at Challengers and you see somebody you think might be famous for doing the thing they do well, don't bug them. Please don't bug them.
And
unless they're
things,
behind a table that has their name on it, in which case, go say hi. Tell them you love their work.
Sure.
That's awesome. Do that.
That went a little bit further than I expected it to.
Sorry.
But I'm going to add a... Don't send things to the store for people.
Don't ever do that.
Unless their names are Marty and or Sarah.
Yeah, you're allowed to do that.
Have a deal set up with us where they...
we will collect for them gladly. The rest of them, please don't do that. Don't send something for someone who's coming in for a signing or who you heard might stop at the store someday.
We've had people come in and say, yeah, so-and-so said I should drop this off for them because I'll be in later this week. Like, we don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that without asking us.
Yeah.
We got 2 boxes of business cards in the mail today from someone I've never heard of, and I don't know why we got them.
Yeah, it might have been something I talked to them about, but I don't remember.
Which is why I didn't immediately throw them in the trash, which is what I wanted to do.
But I don't remember if they mentioned business cards. They might have. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I'm not confident enough to say absolutely they didn't.
Don't do it.
Yeah, generally don't. Please don't.
Anyway, Dal,
Patrick.
what this half an hour that we've already talked. One, we had things to discuss, specifically Steve Lieber and Ryan Brown.
We did.
And then I had a few anecdotes, but also I was stalling.
Okay, good.
I wanted to make sure that when we got to this point, it was past midnight. So it's officially
now.
March 31st.
I just checked the clock. It's true.
2018. It is right this second, our 10th anniversary.
True.
Congratulations, buddy.
Congratulations, Patrick. Now,
obligatory handshake.
In fairness, it wouldn't be until 11 a.m., technically. Because we didn't open at midnight.
I mean, we already made our first money on Thursday. That was our anniversary of that.
Sold a Wolverine comic to some
Wolverine
guy.
comic to some kid. The Saturday that we were still setting up.
Good stuff. 10 years, man.
10 years of Challengers. This is all week long. We've been posting flashback photos on our socials. Am I an idiot for saying socials? I was going to say a different word, but I pulled it back in.
I wouldn't say idiot. Jerky, maybe.
Yeah. On our social media pages, should I have gone all the way? The same reference.
Social media websites.
Yeah.
.com.
On the internet. www. Anybody that still says www. When giving you a website address,
http/.
10 years ago. 10 years ago today.
10 years ago.
It was a gray and rainy Monday.
Sounds like March.
We had the loftiest expectations. We had spent a lot of time building this up. I think what I want us to do is give a little history of the store, and I'm sure we've talked about this stuff in the past. We have a lot of newer listeners now, and it's a nice refresher.
Sure, for both of us.
So I'm gonna narrate, and you can jump in anecdotally when you need to, when you see fit. So this would have been the summer of 2007, and you had just left.
Summer when punk rock broke my heart.
Broke your heart, man.
Wait, it's the Los Campesinos song. Sorry,
I assumed. Yeah, I didn't have a exact line to jump.
That was my anecdote. That was what I'm just dropping in there.
Good.
In the summer of 2007, summer when punk rock broke my heart.
You at the time had been working 2 full-time jobs. One of them at a comic store. One of them a night job at an office. And the night job at the office paid you so much more money.
Yeah, it was good money.
And so much more money than you're making now. Which doesn't matter because that job doesn't exist. But anyway.
True. Yeah, a few years later it was gone.
Point is, you left the comic store job because it stopped being fun and you were made to feel like you were deliberately trying to sabotage the business when all you thought was...
I don't know. I mean, I would probably just phrase it as the owner and I had a difference of opinion as to what the best method of running the store was. And the method that he wanted me to run it as, I just didn't feel like was the best way forward for that store. And when you're in that position, there's a point where you can't really fight anymore.
But is it fair to say that you were constantly made to second-guess your choices? Often, maybe not constantly.
Constantly is a strong word. Some of this is...
Constantly. It's not like if you have roast beef 16 to 13, 12, 16? 16 times.
11 times.
11 times in your life. You don't constantly have roast beef. It's a rare, nay, freakish occurrence.
I'd hardly call 11 times constantly. I mean, if you eat roast beef 11 times in your life, one would hardly say that person constantly eats roast beef. No, it would be a rare, nay, freak occurrence.
Possibly mad.
Possibly mad.
Talking about how things were going in 2007, obviously it's 11 years on from that, and things that were... I have a little bit more hindsight on it now, and having owned and run a store, I have a slightly different perspective on maybe how I felt back then. So the way I look at it now, it was just a situation where, it's like any relationship. Two people want two different things, and there comes a time where you can either try and force the other person to see things your way and try and get them on board with what you're doing, or you can feel like you're fighting so much that you don't want to fight anymore.
Well, if I may jump in, there's a difference between saying, hey, I think we should do it this way, and here's why, as opposed to, don't do it this way, throw things on the floor.
Yeah, it was it was not a very, at that point, collaborative experience. So, yeah, I was doing the night job, and I decided that doing the comic shop was not healthy for me physically or emotionally anymore. So I decided...
Flash forward, holy cow.
Yeah, so I decided to let that go, and kept the night job, was working that, good money. It was nice for a little while to kind of take a break from it. I kept doing comic reviews for that chain, just as a way to, keep reading stuff for free. I didn't really feel like buying weekly comics ever again. So I would borrow stuff, and I'd write up some quick, capsule reviews while at work that night, and then send them off.
Okay, we're going into too much detail.
Okay.
So we have a little more ground to cover.
Sure.
So about a month into that,
Uh-huh.
you came to me and said, hey man, what if?
Yeah.
And the way I always describe this is, given time to think about it, you came back, the way I recall you saying to me was, maybe I wasn't bad at my job, maybe there's a better way to do this, maybe we can do it.
Yeah, I hadn't, not a crystallized idea, but a general sense of, maybe there's a different way of doing a shop that isn't, back issues and board books and the kind of 1980s comic shop spiraled out into the 21st century. What is a 21st century way of kind of achieving a good comic shop? What does that look like? And you were obviously the first and only person that I would feel comfortable.
Thank you for saying only.
Going into that experience with.
I will say at this point, I never wanted to own a store.
No,
and
you still don't.
When I had been given the opportunity previously, I turned it down. Once I came close, but an argument with that same person made me say, this will never work.
Sure.
And I saw what the owners of that store had to go through and their struggles and their difficulties and their hassles and a lot of the bureaucracy and things. And I thought, I don't want this headache.
Sure.
I don't want this. But when one of your best friends and one of the smartest people you know says, don't you think we can do this better? Who wants a life of what if?
Yeah. At the time, I thought, if Patrick doesn't want to do this, I guess maybe I could try and do it myself, but the timeline would have been so much longer. I would not have rushed into it on my own. I definitely would have felt more trepidation about doing it. You and I had worked together so many years and had so many similar views on kind of what was good and bad about comics retail and what was worth celebrating about comics as a medium, that we were able to move very quickly on what is the store, what is it about, where is it going to be, how are we going to run it, what are the nuts and bolts of the day-to-day of who's going to be where, when, who's responsible for what, and all of that came together very easily, I thought.
And it was only a matter of time until we knew this was happening. We knew what it was going to be called. You came up with 2 names. I picked the one I liked the best. I remember...
Which allowed me to save that other one for my next store.
That's right. That's okay. I have my next store's name in my back pocket, too.
That's true.
It's going to be great. That's not the name. It's going to be a great comic.
It's going to be great. That would be an awesome name for a store. So it's not great now?
No,
it's
not
going
yet.
to be
It's gonna
great.
Come back next time. It'll be great. Well, maybe the time after that. And then we immediately we started looking at places because we knew it had to be in the city
Yeah, that
to
was
make money.
That was just a basic financial consideration. You want to pay 2 people full time? Could not do it in the suburbs.
No.
No way.
So we started looking at we visited a bunch of other stores to get the lay of the land.
Yeah, because I personally didn't know city stores well at all.
Yeah.
You had more experience because you had been working in the loop, so you had an awareness of like what stores are where, who might work for them, what they do.
I still have the map. I pulled out a map of Chicago and marked off every store.
A bunch of the stores aren't around anymore.
True, but we were looking at the areas that were underserved.
Yeah.
And the 3 places we looked at that we said we could do stores here, they were up by Loyola, which is Edgewater,
Okay.
Hyde Park, South Side,
Okay.
and Bucktown.
Yeah.
And Andersonville, Edgewater, way too expensive. Mm-hmm. And also significantly further than where we lived. Mm-hmm. And the South Side hadn't had a store in that area, I don't know, in forever. But we were a little trepidatious because maybe there's a reason.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know why there wasn't anything there.
Yeah.
And we also knew that James Nurse was eventually planning to open a store there.
Okay.
And he did later the same year.
Sure.
So, like, I wouldn't want to have... I mean, if we thought it was the best choice, we would have taken it.
Yeah.
But we did give him some consideration.
Yeah. And I remember looking on Western Avenue a lot more than I remember looking at other neighborhoods. Because we looked up and down Western. Not much further south than we are now, but we looked a few places closer to Fullerton.
Yeah.
We took some numbers, we looked in some windows.
I mean, it's fun doing that. We just did that back around Christmas when we didn't know what was up with our lease.
Yeah.
We looked at a bunch of new places, and there's an excitement you get walking into an empty box.
Sure.
And thinking, where can things go?
Yeah.
But if you can't see it right away, don't do it.
Yeah, every place we looked at as far as a potential space to move, either the neighborhood wasn't good, but the store was good, or the neighborhood was good and the store was bad. So it was just...
When we found this spot at Bucktown Station, it was a shell.
It wasn't even a spot
and
yet.
we thought, there's no way this is ready in time.
They had not finished building the building.
But we called. That was one of the ones we called on. They got back to us. We went. Excuse me. We got to take a look at it. We've got photos from that first day.
Yeah, we had to pitch the building owner at the time.
Yeah.
On our idea. It was not a simple matter of like, we've got the money, we've got this idea, we're going to rent this spot. It was. He was very much, this is before real estate had completely cratered. So he was very much in the,
This is a luxury building.
Yeah, why should I rent to you when I've got all these other options?
How are you going to boost my profile?
Yeah, exactly. What's going to make this building better for you being in it? So it wasn't just a matter of like, we're going to do a comic shop. It was like, explain to me the comic shop. What does it look like? How does it feel?
How will this make my building? How will you benefit the community?
Yeah,
that a lot. Like he was real big on community stuff.
The joke was we've. I don't boast about Challengers, but we are by far the most prestigious business that's been in that building since it's existed. We were not a cell phone store,
a loan store,
loan store,
yeah, or a vape shop.
Yeah, no.
I do remember that meeting vividly. It was in December, and I remember you specifically were really worried about it, and. I felt like that was really what I'm here for.
Yeah, so one of the weird quirks of my entire life is I haven't really interviewed for anything. The first job I ever got, you asked me if I wanted to work at the comic shop you were running. The office job I ended up working at nights was the previous manager of the shop I was running. That was the job he had. So he's like, hey, there's an opening on the third shift instead of the second shift. Like, if you want it, I can put in a good word. And I basically went in and I did an interview. I did want some stupid...
Typing test?
No, it was like a multiple choice exam.
Okay.
But it was basically just to measure, like, aptitude for leadership and management and whatever. Like, are you well suited for a long-term career in this company, and how suited are you? And that went fine.
And don't forget, Jimmy P.S. Hayes
Jimmy
got you a job at Blockbuster.
Like a summer job at Blockbuster, which was, again, he was in management there, so he was able to just say, like, you can just start this day.
Yeah.
You know? So something like going in and pitching someone on this business and getting them to say yes and agreeing to it was never something I've had to do. That's not a skill I ever cultivated.
Well,
but we had to do it a few times. We had to do it for Bucktown Station. We had to do it for the loan that we got from Chase.
Oh, God, that was a nightmare.
Remember
the ones we were turned down for?
I don't.
The Citibank one?
I don't remember any of them.
Yeah, that one, the Citibank up Milwaukee.
That all got deleted from my memory for being
those were demoralizing meetings. But you're always better at seeing the things I don't see and distilling things down to... like elevator pitches kind of things. You're good at saying, like, this meets this is this. You were better at verbalizing what Challengers is.
Sure.
But I'm better at bullshit small talk.
For sure. You're better at the ingratiating, like, this is a guy I want to have a drink with later, or someone I could hang out with at a party.
And legitimately, what worked for the owner of Bucktown Station, it wasn't anything... I said, really, except I kept asking him questions about him. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that's his favorite subject.
For sure.
Yeah, like, once, like, when he would say, like, oh, you know, I do this for the community, and I would just have him elaborate and let him, like, basically tell me how great he was. Mm-hmm. So he comes off thinking what a great conversation we had when we didn't have a conversation.
If there's one thing we all, as Americans, have learned over the last few years, it's that real estate guys love talking about themselves.
Yep.
Man, they love it.
So, like, it harkened back to when Bob Burns and I had to pitch a mural idea to the principal of our school, and we went in and laid it down, and Bob didn't talk, really, and because he was the brooding artist type, and I did all the talk, and I felt like I was nailing it, and then the principal said, I read a comic once. It was about Buck Rogers playing football against some robots. And I immediately said, no, we don't have this. We didn't get it. But with Bruce, it was the other way around. I'm like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it was also a huge financial burden, and we had to come up with 4 months' rent ahead of time and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and there was stuff that at the time we were like, oh, well, since we're a corporation, we don't have to, like, you know, put this in our names. And he was insistent, like, no, it's in your name.
Yeah.
Like, I need you personally to be responsible for this.
I guess backing up, back in October of 2017, we got an accountant. We incorporated...
2007.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I upped it by 10 years.
You did. What anniversary is this?
I don't even know. 1 year? So we had all of our paperwork. We registered with the city. We made sure nobody else had this name, so we could incorporate. And then in February, we went and got our business license. But to do that, we already had to have our spot. Mm-hmm. We already had to be able to explain the business. And it was literally me waiting like 3 hours at City Hall for a 5-minute interview.
Yep.
And that was all stuff I did on my own. And then it was a matter of, we have the spot. We got to talk to the contractors about where we wanted light switches, what kind of lights. We had the
outlets, walls, all of it.
And then some of that stuff changed. And there were things dumb little things like, oh, you have an electric lock on the front door, which was a bad idea from the start, and we couldn't change it, and we eventually just disconnected it. And then we said things like, hey, the Western Sun is going to set, and this is a wall of glass. Is this going to affect the temperature in the store? And they said, no, not at all. In fact, we were going to build you a vestibule, but we realized you don't need it. While we couldn't have one now because of the entrance of sidekicks,
right,
it would have been helpful in the beginning, and it's also fiercely windy. But no, the temperature is a huge deal.
Yep.
The building still leaks to this day, 10 years later. But anyway, we got that. We're not going to go into the minor details of all the difficulties with the building not being finished.
We got 300-something episodes of this podcast. I'm sure it's on most of those.
It's definitely the landlord yelling at you for interrupting his prayer.
Yeah, when I was calling to say, we just painted and put in carpeting, and
there's no locks.
There's no locks on the doors. Like, people could just come in and wreck the whole joint.
And then later, he told you after the fact that
he didn't realize that he thought I was a solicitor.
You should have been more forceful with him to let him know, like, what it was. Or there was a problem with the phone line, like all the problems with the phone line stuff in the beginning.
Yeah.
And over the years, we've had different phone providers and 3 or 4 different credit card processing, and we upgraded we opened with a cash register, which we used for not quite a year before we upgraded to a POS system.
Yeah.
Man, I can't even imagine doing cycle counts and things like that by hand.
One of the cool things about that is that we were using Comtrack, and Comtrack is such an easy, small DOS-based program that I could just take it with me.
Yeah.
So I could take it to my night job that I was still working for the first 8 months of Challengers.
Yep.
And then I could, at night, I could do, trade tagging or whatever cycle thing needed to be done. Could just do it there.
Yeah, and I had it on my laptop, so I could do the ordering from anywhere.
Yeah.
So long as I had the book. But I love the system now where I do all the ordering from home and we just log in remotely.
Yeah, remote in.
So many things that technology has given us, logging in remotely it's a game changer.
Sure.
Putting everything in Dropbox on a cloud.
Yeah.
Backing up that way. I'm not worried about stuff anymore. Do you remember way back in the day, the owner of the old store wanted us to call him every day and leave the totals on his answering machine?
I don't remember that. I don't remember if that was a thing that maybe it was happening.
You know what? It was.
I don't think I was.
Yeah, you weren't, because I was dating Kim at the time.
Yeah.
So, we'd be out to dinner and be like, "Hold on, I have to run to a payphone and leave a message on the machine to say what our dollar amount was for the day." Things like that. Yeah. So, gosh golly, then we set to like Dell said, we painted and got carpeting and started buying racks and digging through our collections to figure out what we were going to donate to the store.
Yeah, it was probably 80% of my graphic novels I just gave up to the store.
Yeah.
Just
Same.
I'd rather start with these. And we did some initial orders with Diamond.
Which, I gotta tell you, I'm a little disappointed we haven't gotten our 10-year anniversary certificate from Diamond, because we had to place orders for a couple weeks before we actually opened. Remember, we started.
Sure.
Remember, we'd have to somebody has to be at the store this day. UPS is coming.
Yeah.
And it was usually you.
Yeah, because I could.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that when we opened, it wasn't just this week's comics. We need to have the newest issue of everything. So yeah, we had a month's worth of orders before we opened.
And that's a Diamond rule. You can't place reorders until you've placed an initial order.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't say, hey, can we get this week's books, until we've had an initial order on the books.
Right.
Which, I understand that rule. That's
sure.
Looking at the pictures we've been putting up, opening day, we had the Challenger signs up top, which, by the way, 10 years later, those look fantastic.
We've replaced them.
The actual giant Challengers?
Sure. We had to.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. You could see, the glue underneath was disgusting, and it was...
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
Did we replace all of them?
I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah, because we replaced them when we replaced the Rogues Gallery sign.
Okay. Yeah, right, because that had to come down because it wasn't Rogues Gallery anymore. Yeah. All right, I'll take it back. I thought, how great, those lasted for 10 years.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was one of the things that when, what's her name? Jimmy's old employee who...
Taylor. Taylor's List.
Yeah, one of the things was just pointing out, because of the way that, the frosted window is right behind where the sign is.
Yeah.
You would see the back of the sign, which normally looks great. It's a little faded and it's reversed, but, it brings in some light. It brightens up. But because the adhesive they used had been beaten down by heat and light for 5 years, it was this gross... it looked like malice was taking it over. It was gross. And it needed to get replaced and scrubbed off and whatever. And so we're going to have that again probably in a few years, where those signs are going to look like evil is breaking through.
Yeah.
That's just what happens with adhesive and a clear background.
I gotta say, I did like Taylor's List, because it's the standpoint of an everyday person, the things that she sees.
Yeah, and it was nice to have someone not pull punches. A lot of times when we are talking with someone about things that work or don't work for the store, they're people who, you're getting criticism from someone who doesn't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
So everything is couched in a, well, this is a thing, but... And then they give you a reason why it's not a big deal. And it's like, no, don't give me the reason why it's not a big deal. Tell me why it is a big deal.
Yeah.
What am I overlooking that I think is no problem, but really is something that everyone's noticing as a problem?
And there are things in her list that we could say, okay, well, we did it this way for a specific reason, or we can't change this because of this.
Yeah.
And then there's things like, do we see it the way she sees it?
Sure.
But yeah, that type of criticism is always welcome.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of stuff on her list that we changed.
Sure, for sure, yeah.
Anyway, I thought those signs were... anyway, so the pictures, there's nothing in the windows, nothing on the walls.
Yeah, those first few photos are so weird.
Yeah. I want us to duplicate one of them later tonight.
Okay.
There's one where opening day, and this will have been posted online before this episode goes up, but my sister Karen, as she occasionally has done on our anniversary, sent a giant cookie with the Challengers logo, and we were both holding it to the camera. And then on the 5-year, we kind of did one similar to it. So I want us to do like just that pose, because we did anniversary parties for 5 years, ish, but we never really took any pictures together on years 2, 3, and 4.
It's true.
And we don't often do that now.
No.
Unless, like, somebody requests it.
Yeah, like, if we're doing it for a specific, like, photo shoot reason, or,
But I can say, we will be quite photogenic tomorrow night.
Agreed.
Or whatever
or
it is.
This past Saturday night, as people are listening.
Yeah. I was gonna, like, flash back and say, like, hey, what are some, like, favorite memories you have? Or what are things that you've taken away? But, I mean, we're coming up on a full length already.
Sure. I mean, do you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Just the people that we've met, whether it be...
I've come to regard them as people
I once met. There's a lot of like good friends we have out of the store.
Sure.
The ownership that people take is pretty great. Earlier tonight, I got a barrage of texts from Art Balthazar, and they're just the greatest, most fulfilling, rewarding texts for somebody who has been part of Challengers since before it started. Like, I knew Artie before Challengers, but when we had said, hey, we're doing the store, and we'd asked him, we want you to be the first big event that we have. I mean, we wound up having like a Burnham signing before it, but we opened the store knowing Art was going to be there for Free Comic Book Day. And when Franco found out about the store, he said, yeah, I want to be there too. And Franco flew out on his own dime to be there for this. And they've gone to the store multiple times, but Artie was there from the beginning.
Yep.
And he knew what was happening, and he's like, I want to be part of this. Like, this was before he had his own store.
Yeah.
He took that kind of ownership in what we were doing, and we've been so fortunate to have so many people like that. And I don't just mean like Mike Norton, who ran the store for a day, and to this day, like, people listening don't know how much Mike has helped us behind the scenes.
Sure.
And is always willing to do so if we need it.
Yeah.
Like, just recently, he did something for us that we did not ask and did not expect.
Right.
And we tried to get him to not do it.
Yep.
And he argued us down. And, like, it's to a point where he's like, if you don't let me do this, you are hurting my feelings.
And we don't want to do that.
We don't. Because Mike is somebody that doesn't look at Challengers as a place he can buy his books at. He looks at it as a place he takes some ownership in.
Sure.
I don't mean legally.
Well, I mean, one time
For taxes.
legally he did.
Yeah.
For one entire day.
Briefly.
Nortongers.
Yep. And he's just one example. The stories with CM Punk before this, there are times he will come in, sit on the counter, and just hang out for a couple hours. There's times that he's standing at the front counter talking, and he says hello and goodbye to people as they come in. It's
true.
John Massantono does that too.
Yeah.
Like, they see themselves as ambassadors of the store, and it's kind of great because that never happened where we used to work before.
For sure.
And I could see why people wouldn't. In fact,
that was one a real quick aside. That was one of your early things that you really wanted, and you pushed for as far as things like branding and, you know, the names and stuff is you wanted people to say, when they're on the phone talking to a friend, you didn't want them to say, I'm at the comic shop. You wanted them to say, I'm at Challengers.
Yeah.
You wanted it to mean something, that they were at this specific store buying comics, not just at any comic shop.
I was going to give a quick story. There was a woman in today who had never been to the store before, started raving about the store. She's like, this is a great shop. I love the shop. I've never been here before. I used to work at a store. This is way better than that store. And without prompting, she said, yeah, I used to work at Graham Crackers. I effing hate that store. Those people are the worst.
Oh, golly.
They're so misogynistic.
That's sad to hear.
She just had a bad experience. She named names, told stories.
Wow.
Even someone that she liked working with at the end of her tenure broke bad on her, and she couldn't believe. She's like,
geez.
How could you do this?
That's sad to hear.
So, like, she said something he said, and I repeated it back to her using his voice. And she said, oh my God, that's it exactly. Which, I mean, I feel like with the way she was saying it, we may have just been getting, obviously, her side of the story.
Sure.
But just the malice that she has for the other store is the opposite of what we want. Granted, if we tell you not to talk to CM Punk, you're going to have that malice toward us.
Okay.
Fine. But
I'll own that.
It's using the wrestler connotation. I have met so many pro wrestlers because of the store.
It's true.
And I'm a huge wrestling fan.
We have enough action figures to prove it.
There's more wrestlers than we will ever have figures for in the store.
Sure. And I'm just counting ones who have shopped at the store, not even ones you've met because of the store.
Yeah.
Which is a much higher number.
Looking through, the photos that I'm posting tomorrow are all random pictures throughout the years, and I was picking my favorites, and I looked through them like, my God, I just picked like 8 photos of wrestlers. Like, all the Chikara dudes outside.
Sure.
Generico, Colt, Marty, players Uno and Dos, and me and sidekicks. Chris Daniels and Chris Hero, and me. Chris Daniels, George and I. There was one of me and Chris Daniels and Brian Kendrick, which was disqualified because it was not in the store. There's a great picture of Ashley pulling Luke on the red cart at C2E2.
Oh, okay.
Which was disqualified because it's not at the store.
True.
However, there is one picture that's making it in the batch that was not taken at the store, but it is an iconic picture for Challengers, so much so it's hanging up right by the counter.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that's definitely
that's a good one.
Making it, a wonderful picture taken by Megan Bird. There is, because you can only do 10 photos on Instagram per one post, so I had to limit it to 10. But anyway, the number of creators that I've long since respected for years that now we have relationships with, like Steve Lieber. We met Ryan Brown because of Challengers. If we did not work at Challengers, we would not have interacted with him the way we do.
That's true.
Because where we used to work doesn't cultivate that type of relationship with creators.
Yeah.
Just the people that are in Chicago that we know and who treat Challengers like their home. Jill Thompson, who I knew for years before, Challengers it means a lot to her. You know, there's so many creators who will do things just because we ask. Like when I called Corey Cassoni from Toonhound and Surviving Creativity to ask him a question, and his answer was, for Challengers, anything. Like, that's pretty amazing.
Thanks, Corey.
That's the kind of and for this broad generalization of the people we met, there's stories that back up all of those, and it's the interactions with people, and even people that I knew before that may have been shopping elsewhere, who now shop with us. That relationship is only grown deeper. Mike McCord was in today, and the first thing he wanted to mention was Fitbit stats, because we're Fitbit friends.
Oh, cool.
And that's a thing that's completely outside of the fandom of comics and geekery, but it is a thing that we're both doing. And while he is a machine on it, and I can never touch his stats, the first thing he said was all complimentary to the steps that I've been taking this week, literal steps that he's noticed that I've been increasing lately, and like that positivity of somebody that you met because you sell them comics. That's great.
Sure.
I mean, there's stories and anecdotes and whatever, and we tell a lot of them on the podcast as they happen during the week. But it's been 10 years of meeting people who love comics, but love getting them from us just as much.
I think my favorite thing about Challengers, it's not one specific incident. It's honestly the way that kids respond to the store. Sidekicks was not in the original plan for Challengers.
Yeah.
We did the gallery, and we tried to make a go of the gallery, and we lost a bunch of money on the gallery. And Sidekicks was kind of making lemonade out of lemons. We had the space. We were already paying for it. We were already committed to paying for it. What can we do with it that can take up that much space but is additive to our business instead of being a burden on it? And Sidekicks was the answer we came up with. And the amount of kids that come into the store that flip out when they see all the kids' books, when they get super excited to get a stack of stuff. And the cherry on top is the few times a week that you can hear kids when they're leaving saying to their parents, "When can we go back?"
Yeah.
That is, my heart grows 3 sizes when I hear that. That is the dream, is to get kids who have never really been to a comic shop, who have no conception of what a store is, excited about comics and excited about more comics. Like, the second they've bought stuff, they already want to know when they can get more comics, when they can come back to Challengers and Sidekicks and get more comics. I spent years working in a comic shop before we owned Challengers and ran Challengers, and you would get kids who would come in and they would only want toys. Like, they wouldn't even care about comics or graphic novels. There was nothing, like, teenagers, adults cared about superhero comics, but kids didn't, and there really wasn't anything in the market for them. And the amount of 4 to 12-year-old kids that you have coming in who have a whole 500 square foot room full of stuff for them, explicitly for them, and new books every single week for them, and to have them devour that stuff, to want more of it, and to be so excited about it, and to be so happy to find that place, and to feel like it's theirs. It's that Sidekicks is theirs as much as Challengers is,
their parents,
Mike Norton's or Jill Thompson's or whoever's. Like, that is when we started doing Sidekicks, that was the dream. And to see that fulfilled, basically, to have that be what happened, is definitely like one of the things I'm most proud of from Challengers, is that thing is still going and still building and still creating new fans, and being a place that is a source of enjoyment for a lot of kids. Like, that's awesome. That is something that I'm the most happy about, probably.
Your heart also swells 3 sizes every time a child says, "Goodbye, Batman."
Mm-hmm. They do. Oh man, I love it. I love it when the kids say goodbye to the Ninja Turtles and stuff.
Yeah.
There was a little girl who would always make sure that when she left, she would say goodbye to all of the characters in the room. She'd say goodbye to the Ninja Turtles. She'd say goodbye to Batman. Oh man, that was the cutest thing.
And it still happens.
It still happens.
Regularly.
They do. Yeah, other than that, I don't know if there's any one specific event or signing or thing. It's a ton of work, and it's a lot of stress leading up to it, and it's definitely a very long day. But I like Free Comic Book Day a whole lot.
Yeah. I
like just parking behind the register and just ringing up hundreds of people, and they're all so excited to be there. We've done events where people are, I don't know, bristly a little bit. Most times when we do events, especially big events that feature a draw that isn't the typical comic book store draw, so it brings in comic fans that don't normally shop with us, or people who aren't even comic fans, usually great. Those people are so excited for the event, and comic fans, I feel like, have a tendency to be kind of jaded about the whole experience of meeting people, so they either disregard it as being something worth getting excited about, or take advantage of it in a way where you're just like, I wish we hadn't done this. So things like Free Comic Book Day, where you get people who only come in for Free Comic Book Day, are just so excited for all of it. They're so grateful for the free comics, for the artists, that you'll sell them comic books. The whole thing is great. So it makes my job, interacting with them so much easier. It's so frictionless. It's so fun. Because it's just oh, look at all the free comics you got. you're going to buy this graphic novel and you're getting all these free books. That's great, and thanks for coming out. And they're psyched. Like,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. Like, Free Comic Book Day, pretty fun, all things being equal. Like, setting aside the, stresses that go into it and all the planning and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I like that we kind of started the episode with Free Comic Book Day.
And then we're going to end it with
And I
that.
think it comes back around naturally
All
that
the
way.
around.
But to anyone who's listening, you've been a part of our 10 years.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's plenty more where this came from, but we can't do this without your support. So thank you for that. And as always, this has been Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network in Chicago. For the last 10 years, actually longer than that, I've been Patrick Brower.
And I'm still W. Dalbush.
Challengers, our sincere hope, our wish, our dream, our new mantra is comics for everyone, every day. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.